Now, as the World Bank Group IMF Spring Meetings 2024 comes to an end on Friday, stakeholders in the finance space have reiterated calls for the government not to rely solely on the IMF to solve the country's problems. This comes as Ghana is making important inroads to stabilize its economy, and the continued program implementation beckons a brighter future, according to the International Monetary Fund. Here's more.
The call from these economic watchers comes as government is preparing to receive about $360 million in financing from the IMF to build back the economy. Over the weekend, government reached a staff-level agreement with the Bretton Woods institution pending the approval of the executive board and agreement with its official creditors. Already, government has secured a memorandum of understanding with its external creditors to restructure about $13 billion of international bonds. The agreement aligns with the IMF's debt sustainability targets. In its economic outlook report, the IMF forecasted a single-digit inflation rate of 8% for Ghana by the end of 2025, aligning with the government's target for the same period. It also projected a growth rate of 4.4% for Ghana by the end of next year. It noted that Ghana will end 2024 with a growth rate of 2.8%, similar to what the government had forecasted in the 2024 budget. Many have raised objections to these projections. Speaking on the way forward for the country despite these forecasts from the IMF, Economist Dr. Patrick Esuming reiterated the need for government not to bank all its hopes on the IMF in its quest to fix the struggling economy.
It looks like since 2022, everything we've done is to please the IMF to the extent that government has implemented measures that will allow it to reach the IMF target, even if it has come at the expense of hitting the private sector and the ordinary Ghanaian households. But I think in the midst of all of this, what Ghanaians should demand of their government is that we make the necessary reforms, especially in the governance side, that will ensure that all the leakages that we usually see, especially as the elections are approaching, they are plugged. I think this government, this administration, it doesn't seem that we're going to get any new major economic breakthrough or any new major long-term sustainable plan. It's important that they don't do any more damage. And with the elections coming, it's important that we have enough expenditure controls to rein in the kind of excessive expenditure that we tend to see during election years.
The IMF spring meetings are wrapping up. A lot has been said about Ghana, with the IMF giving some positive projections about the country's economic recovery. But as the IMF is upbeat about the country's economic recovery, and with government's assurance that it's going to stay the course under the funds program, stakeholders within the finance space are calling on government to think long-term and implement robust policies that will sustain the macroeconomic gains achieved so far. For Citi Business News, my name is Neteli Nete Ajahu.